Okay, we are back from our lunch break. We are continuing with our December 7th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners meeting. We're going to take up agenda item DPQJ1, request approval for a second amendment to the High Point Planned Unit Development PUD zoning agreement, including revised master site plan, revised phasing plan, amended preserve area management plan, and Phase 2 final site plan C148-013. And it'll be presented by Miss Allison Rozek.
Rozek.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Oh, it's quasi judicial. Commissioner Hurd, have you had any
I
ex
have
parte?
them and they've been filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Jenkins?
They've been filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Heatherington?
Been filed.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Have them, they're filed.
Mine have also been filed. Anyone that'll be offering any testimony, if you would please stand and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do you have a copy of your work history and the agenda item? Yes. Fantastic. Is anyone going to intervene?
No, sir.
Is there a copy of the return receipts that are
None required.
none required? Good to know.
There was that momentary panic look on Tyson's face. Just a split second, but it was there.
With that, you are recognized to begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Campy and County Commissioners. Thank you for your time today to hear this agenda item. I'm Allison Rozek, a Principal Planner in the Growth Management Department and Coordinator for the Second Amendment to the High Point PUD and the High Point Phase 2 Final Site Plan. The High Point Second Amendment includes a revised master plan, a revised phasing plan, a revised special conditions, and an amended PAMP, as well as a Phase 2 final site plan. A copy of the agenda item and my work history has been submitted for the record. Property owners of the land in the High Point PUD include Christ Fellowship Church, Inc., Pulte Home Company, LLC, Camp Valor, LLC, and the High Point Property Owners Association. Pulte Home Company, LLC is the applicant for this item, and Coulter and Hearing is the agent. Prior approvals for the High Point PUD include adoption of the approximately 321-acre PUD in April 2021, with an adopted master site plan proposed to be carried over in 2 phases. The approximate 175-acre Phase 1 final site plan was adopted in September of 2021. All of Phase 1, including the 94 single-family homes and the associated infrastructure, has been constructed to date. During the plat approval of Phase 1, PUD Amendment 1 was approved in May of 2022 for data consistency. Before you today is the Second Amendment to the High Point PUD and the Phase 2 final site plan for approximately 145 acres of the High Point PUD. The overall reasoning for the Second Amendment to the High Point PUD is to adjust the sizes of the lakes, littorals, open space areas, and residential lots, which will accommodate a new open area track, make data changes to preserves and native landscape areas for consistency. The master site plan has been updated to illustrate the building footprint of the new amenity center on Phase 2, make changes to the preserve and native landscape areas for consistency, and to make changes to the sizes of lakes, littorals, residential lots, and open space areas. They created an open space area track gained by reducing the total residential lot sizing, created an additional open space area track gained by discontinuing an RV boat storage resident amenity, and added a new pedestrian connection between the PUD and the high school at Bulldog Way. The Phase 2 final site plan proposes to construct 190 single-family homes, construct an associated amenity center to serve the residents of both Phase 1 and Phase 2, make improvements to the Bulldog Way, complete an equestrian trail along Southwest Pratt Whitney Road, and construct a pedestrian connection between the high school and the PUD. Staff found that the proposed second PUD amendment complies with the Martin County Comprehensive Growth Management Plan and all land use regulations and ordinances. According to Article 10, Development Review Procedures, a public review and hearing at the local planning agency meeting is not required for a PUD amendment. Therefore, this file did not go before the LPA. Staff is recommending approval and recommends the following actions. Move that the board receive and file the agenda item and all attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1. Move that the board approve the Second Amendment to the High Point PUD, including a revised master plan, revised phasing plan, and amended PAMP. Move that the board adopt the resolution approving the Phase 2 final site plan for the High Point PUD. That's all I have today, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Nice job. Staff's light is on.
Yes, Elise Elder, W County Attorney. There is an error in the PUD amendment that I just want to clarify for the board to vote on. So in Exhibit F, the special conditions, paragraph 2C, little Roman numeral 4, the size of an internal sign in that paragraph says 84 by 48, and it should be 144 by 84. This was already approved by the board. It was just carried over incorrectly. So with that correction is what we're asking for.
I noticed that, yeah.
Well, it needs to be approved.
I tell you, last night, I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, Mr. Waters didn't want me to change the size of his sign, so I said I would make the correction on the record.
I will allow it. More meetings. Okay, any questions for staff?
That's 2 blushes there, Tyson.
Applicant's presentation.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Leah Heinzelman with Kotler and Hearing, and I have been sworn in. We're here on behalf of the applicant as the site planners and landscape architects. Huge thank you to staff for a great presentation, and really there's not much more that needs to be said. So this is the second phase of an already approved master plan. We've already got phase 1 almost complete. So with that, we'll take any questions you all may have for us.
Thank you very much. Questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Before public comment?
It's more like general comment.
Okay. Commentary from Commissioner Smith.
Can you do you have it anywhere in your slide, the site plan itself? Or does the applicant have, like, did you have any kind of an applicant's presentation? I just wanted to
Yeah, how do I get to
to
it?
show the amenities section.
We do.
We do not have a presentation.
Maybe it won't be worth trying to show it.
Second Amendment to High Point Agreement, legal.
What are you trying to find, what are you trying to show?
He wants to see how wide the sidewalks are.
No, well,
That was Harold's joke. I'm stealing.
great, Harold, thank you. So appreciate the support on that.
It's camaraderie. It's congeniality.
Phase 2 final?
Congeniality.
Sure.
Or
Page 930,
40s are also,
940.
930,
940.
3.
93. 930. There we go.
So this doesn't really show the detail at all. And I don't know if you can zoom in on the amenities area, but it was really to give kudos. Yeah, maybe to show up a little bit.
A little bit.
The graphic that we saw, at least in our meetings, it's not often that we see the amenities section as nice as this one is, at least as it was illustrated. I think for the residents, certainly for those in Phase 1, but Phase 2, to have this kind of a facility built as an amenity is a really nice thing. And one thing that came up in the conversation, and this is more for our staff and something maybe, I don't know how we amend this or work on this, but it's when an amenity actually gets approved or when it should be approved. And I think as it stands now, it would have to be approved at your first building permit,
Do you mean the CO?
CO.
Yeah, we've changed that, so it's a 20-month timeline to make the recreational amenities, so it doesn't interfere with any certificates of occupancy for homes.
But that's for Phase 2, correct?
That's correct.
So could we have done something at the end of Phase 1?
Yeah, normally the phases work out so the amenities are in Phase 1, that is correct.
I just, and I only raise that, and it doesn't have to get solved today. This isn't something, but I think it's worth having a conversation. I remember in the past, we used to struggle a lot with amenities not getting done when a first phase or second phase or third phase was getting done. And then by the time it got to the second or third phase, everybody was like, well, it's not appropriate to do it anymore or something, whatever the example might have been. Anyway, I just, for staff's purposes, I would love to see this come back at some point in time, not this, but the idea of when we do the amenities and when it gets built into the phasing. So A, that it doesn't hamper the first phase, but that it comes following the first phase if there is to be a second, third phase. So that, like, this one now won't come towards the end of this phase, correct? Or within 20 months?
Yeah, 20 months, correct.
Just as a conversation for later.
Yeah, when these applications came in, they were almost concurrent, so we thought that the Phase 2 was going to catch up to Phase 1 quicker than it did.
And it's not
Just-
criticism, it's just more of a timing in our policy side of this as to when things do happen and what triggers that to happen. Does that make sense? Don?
Yes, Commissioner, it does make sense.
Great answer.
Sure.
Thank you. That
That
was
was a
it.
pandemic.
And
What
we-
district, whose district is this in?
listen to that.
It's close. It's a very gray area.
Oh, this,
I have $5 riding on this.
Yeah, we have a bet going on here.
so if there isn't any public comment,
No, we need to find out whose district it is.
I can't get my thing to work.
Anybody
My
know?
thing is,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, here it
Commissioner
goes.
Hertz, but I could be wrong.
No, I'd have to look at the maps, be honest with you.
Is there anyone from the public looking to address us on this topic?
or to know which district it's in,
Whose district is in?
No, that's what I meant. Anybody can address the,
you know, you could easily go
You
to
would
like
tell us.
the county map and it would tell you in 2 seconds.
Hold on a minute.
I don't have it.
Do you want my iPad?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, pending all that, I would move staff's recommendation with the change that on Tyson's signage that Ms. Elders pointed out to us in the PD language change.
I will second it.
is it one of those Fox Joaquin, one of those signs?
I may know it.
Well, I don't think it's that name anymore.
No, what's the name now? Waters, Water, oh, no. Just keep it up. I'm a no now. I'm a no. I'm a no.
Oops, I think he's narrowing in on it. I see colors.
Yeah, it's
It's hard on
using her iPad.
You know, if you went to our map and put in the address, it would show you.
District 3, baby.
Trying to get to-
$5. Right there, it says District 3.
Can't have verification from the person.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Doing that. I need to have we'll settle it afterwards. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. I was a yes, but Tyson insulted me, so I'm a no. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. What the hell? Must be one. He's wrong.
Florida Club is.
Yeah. So is Fox?
Right across the, no,
Yes.
used to be.
No, District 3. Where's
straightened
South
the
Fork High
line-
School?
the line
Mr.
straight.
Donaldson?
Yes, it is.
South Fork High School is in District 3 now?
Been in District.
Yes.
I think there's the dispute.
I'm going to have to annex.
I won $5, that's all I got.
Where's the red flag?
Is it a challenge flag?
Flag on the play.
Instant review?
Okay. Ms. Murley,
Hi.
today's your first day.
Yeah.
Not yet. Let's
Not
really
yet.
give you the opportunity to have it, soak it all in. Our next agenda item is departmental number 1, Office of Management and Budget items which require board approval. There are 5 items, and it'll be presented for the first time in her official capacity. Right?
Yes.
Miss Stephanie Murley, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
First day of a 35-year career.
Yes. I'm already 12 in, though.
Yeah, those don't count.
Okay.
Hit the reset button.
Stephanie Murley, Budget Office. The first item we have up today is the permission to apply for the Section 319 grant from FDEP. Ecosystem Restoration and Management is requesting for $720,000 for the Southwest Prong Manatee Pocket Water Quality retrofit. This will consist of a treatment train involving a wet detention pond, diversion weir structures, and enhanced vegetated channels, also for wetland restoration. There's a grant match of $480,000 that's already budgeted in the Manatee Prong CIP project budget. The second item up is the permission to accept the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection Resilience Infrastructure Grant for Cypress Creek restoration. It's for $750,000, and it will provide funds to complete the construction of a water control structure and other improvements to rehydrate the floodplain of Cypress Creek. It requires a match of $750,000, which is budgeted in the Cypress Creek Capital Improvement Plan project budget and for past expenditures that have already been incurred for this project. The third item is a permission to accept FDEP Beach Management Funding Assistance Program for the Martin County 2022 Hurricane Ian and Nicole recovery projects. It's for $358,787 for Bata Beach and Sailfish Point renourishment and the MacArthur Dune project. There is no cash match required. The fourth item is the permission to accept the Florida Division of Emergency Management, EOC, uninterruptible power supply. It's for the replacement of the UPS for $750,000, and it ensures continuous electrical power to the data center serving Martin County's EOC. There's a cash match of $250,000, which was already budgeted with our technology improvement program.
1 second, please. Mr. Donaldson.
I was just going to say, our Congressman Brian Mast was instrumental in getting that appropriation. It was very helpful with sort of a last-minute request last year, and we finally tracked it through to getting it through to the state. But so it's a big deal for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Mast.
And our last item is just a request for funds for the Martin County Sheriff's Office from the Federal Equitable Sharing Fund, which is essentially the net proceeds of asset forfeiture earmarked for law enforcement agencies. The Sheriff's Office would like to use these funds to purchase some ballistic shields in the amount of $11,145, and we are recommending a budget transfer from those reserves to remit to the sheriff. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Questions for Ms. Murley? Commissioner Smith?
There are none. Move approval.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Your first item was a unanimous decision.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is departmental number 2, contracts that meet the threshold for board approval, $1 million or greater, and it'll be presented by Palm City's own Miss Christy Brotherton, unless that's in your district now.
Not yet.
Good afternoon, Christy Brotherton with Purchasing Division. The first item for your consideration today is our contract for Building 17 renovation for the Reach Center. Staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, All Site Construction, in the amount of $2,820,803. This is for the base bid only. Move that the board approve the revised CIP sheet to fund the bid award, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. The next item is a continuing services contract for motor and pump repair. This contract has a maximum not to exceed value of $1,500,000 with a maximum not to exceed term of 5 years. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidders, which is Dunright Pumps Incorporated, Trip Electric Motors Incorporated, and TAW Orlando Service Center Incorporated, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And last, we have a contract for Southwest Waterside Way and State Road 76 Canner Highway roadway construction. And staff is recommending that the board award the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, which is CW Roberts Contracting, in the amount of $4,272,540.79. Move that the board approve the revised CIP sheet to fund the bid award, and move that the board authorize the county administrator or designee to execute all documents related to this request. And that concludes this item.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd.
What's the funding source for debt service repayment for the last one? $4.7 million.
variety of funding sources. We have some impact fees, gas tax, and state revenue sharing dedicated to that debt service.
Okay. Thanks.
Any questions, any additional questions for staff? Seeing none, back to the board. Commissioner Smith.
Staff's recommendation.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith for staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Stokas, before we begin with you, why don't we just take Miss Gordon?
Absolutely.
We have a couple of board and committee. Board and committee number 1, Board of Zoning Adjustment Appointments. Has everyone turned in their voting sheets? Ms. Gordon, welcome. You are recognized.
Donna Gordon, Court for Administration. Board of Zoning Adjustment, one person. The incumbent, Mac Ross, received 3 votes. Mrs. Mary Gavin received 2 votes.
Move approval of Mac Ross?
We have a motion by Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Oh, our next agenda item is Board and Committee number 2, Industrial Development Authority appointment.
Ms. Kelly A. Lehman received 3 votes. Mr. Jacob Bynum received 2 votes.
Move approval of Kelly Lehman?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Our last item, B and C number 3, Treasure Coast Health Council appointment.
Dr. Tina White received 4 votes. Dr. Nicole Wojno received 1 vote.
Move approval of Dr. Tina White?
We have a motion by Commissioner Hurd, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Ms. Gordon, you made fast work of that. Thank you.
George.
The remainder of the meeting will become the Mr. George Stokas Show. Going to start with the Martin County, Departmental Number 3, Martin County Centennial Celebration Status Update. Mr. Stokas, good afternoon. You are recognized.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. George Stokas, Assistant County Administrator. Coming before you seeking some advice and counsel. A number of months ago, this body had assigned Commissioner Smith to spearhead the effort for the Centennial Celebration. As a part of that, we held a couple public meetings, some staff meetings. I personally have met with all the constitutional officers except for the sheriff. And we have come up with kind of a litany of items that I need some direction on as far as to how the board would like to move forward with celebrating the centennial of Martin County, which will be in May of 2025. The official date, depending on how you want to look at it, is either May 30th, when the House and Senate sign the bill, or later on in August when the Governor Martin, who we are so aptly named after, signed the bill. In your agenda item, as I'm bringing up on your screen, what we tried to provide is a line item list of all the various ideas that we have received as it relates to how we celebrate the centennial. One of the first things we did is we created a centennial website. It is martin100.com. The website is fully mobile responsive design as well as ADA compliant. The site will feature or does feature an emblem request form for not-for-profits and community organizations, some social media hashtag and campaign items. Events, an event listing, event submission form, very similar to what you see with our tourism department, as well as an image gallery of featuring photos from the Martin County Library System Digital History Initiative, National State Archives, Martin County Office of Tourism, as well as other community resources. And I want to thank especially our clerk and comptroller, Ms. Carolyn Timon, for providing us some of those pictures and some assistance. We also have a history page that details the community history information. And the site design was built and funded out of an ongoing website, our web support retainer contract. So that is now complete. It is ready to go live. As a group, it was basically mentioned, or we wanted to decide, that we would conduct a process similar to our supervisor of election for who gets the, Ms. Vicki Davis, who gets the vote out. She has volunteered, but we would like to hold a contest with high school art students to design an official 100-year logo. Once that contest has occurred, we do need some funds necessary to convert that logo from whatever it comes in as to whatever it can be digitally. So if it comes in as a watercolor and we needed to convert it into, say, a digital graphic, this is the highest cost that it would cost for us to convert that. There was also discussion about each district displaying some type of banners somewhere in those districts. So the total cost for the banners is $56,000. That would be divided amongst all 5 of you. We would be able to do a per district cost if that's something that you as you're representing your district would like to decide on. There was also a plaque for both the 25 and the 75 year anniversaries of Martin County on the historic courthouse. I don't know what happened to 50. Maybe I haven't found it yet. Maybe it fell off. We're still looking for it, but we generalized the cost for a simple plaque around $6,000. There was also a lot of discussion from various not-for-profits, the Historical Society, the Historic Society, our Historic Preservation Board, about the creation of a book. The price that's listed there includes it's about a 100-page book that would identify the history and the various communities and works within the county. Costs about $8,000 to put together the book, and then about $5,000 to buy the books necessary to sell copies. So this item could be cost neutral. And then ultimately, most of the a lot of the groups were talking about a celebratory event that would be held in the by the historic courthouse, the gazebo park, as well as the Veterans Memorial Park, as well as shutting down Ocean Avenue, similar to what the same type of area we see for Arts Fest, maybe a little bit more elongated, going eastward towards the Wells Fargo Bank. As you can see, there's a line item for what we believe are most of the major items. They include an event planner, tents, food trucks, artists, musicians, various art projects, potential plein air, drone show, some special expos. So that brings the event total, as we estimated, at $220,745. So for all the things presented to you, if the board wanted to do every single thing listed, we're estimating a budget of approximately $298,000. If you wanted to do this without the event, as presented, it's $21,432 plus your district funds if you wanted to do the banners. And with that, Mr. Chair, I try to be brief and brilliant. I'm ready for any of your input, suggestions, comments, and anything you want to direct me on.
Thank you very much for your efforts. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, I could get behind a plaque and maybe banners. That's it. I just got a bunch of emails, maybe you commissioners did too, about taxpayers being very sensitive about taxing them. So I'm loath to spend money on our 100th birthday.
Commissioner Jenkins.
So what would the Historic Society's role be in this, potentially?
Well, if you wanted to transfer this from being a staff perspective project, we do have the Historic Preservation Board that is separate than the Historic Preservation Society. That's I believe, an independent 501c3 that's in the city of Stuart that runs the Feed Museum. The Historic Preservation does have they also have a budget, but whatever you were to approve here today, you'd have to roll into their budget moving forward. Now, they do have some funds available that are already budgeted for Historic Preservationist of the Year. They do, I think they do 2 or 3 events in the month of May, but they do advertise one event each day in the month of May, which is Historic Preservation Month. So you would be transferring basically funds and, we'll say, decision-making power to that board as it relates to the anniversary. Was that as clear as mud? Sorry.
Are you asking about the Historical Society or?
Yeah.
So the Historical Society different than Historic Preservation Board?
Correct. I apologize. So the Historic Society is the is one of the not-for-profits that we did get input from. They're their own independent 501c3, no different than like the Martin County Arts Council. Whereas the Historic Preservation Board is a board that is, is what?
Just our volunteer advisory.
Right. But they do have a budget and decision-making power. So they have a budget of approximately, I want to say about 15 grand a year. But that is to buy plaques for houses, then they do their Historic Preservationist of the Year type of event.
I was just thinking the historic preservation folks, whatever organization, would have an interest in doing some type of celebratory thing for this. I'm not quite as far, I understand we need to be conscious to the taxpayer, but at the same time, this is 100 years. So if those folks had some interest in doing something that we could participate in, that financially a little bit, maybe not $220,000, but
So when I did discuss some of this with Mr. Mortel at the City of Stewart, I had asked some questions as to how did the city celebrate its 100-year anniversary, which I believe is in 2014. And it may not have been Mortel, it might have been, actually now I think about it, might have been Manager Dias at the time. I believe that the City of Stewart had they had an independent volunteer organization, and it might have been the Historical Society that volunteered to do fundraising, and it was non-governmental. You know, the city, I'm going to refer to legal counsel. I don't know what the city's involvement was not fiduciary, and it wasn't, there was no control. They kind of were like, yay, celebrate 100 is lacking for words here.
Ms. Woods.
Sarah Woods, Martin County Attorney. I just wanted to clarify, the Historical Society is the Elliott
And the house.
and the House of Refuge. Then they are a nonprofit which have a lot of Martin County-centric displays. And I don't know whether we've reached out to them, but
I apologize. Yes, Mr. Chair, we have reached out to them. Mr. Steele, I was also thinking of the ladies that represent whatever the group that's in the feed store. I must be getting their name.
Stewart Heritage.
that's Main Street.
Stewart, yeah, there we go, Stewart Heritage.
Okay.
Yeah. We reached out to both of them.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Oh, I kind of agree with your sentiment. It's, and I agree, plaques, Harold, well, both actually in some ways. Plaques, banners. I think the book is great if someone's willing to put it together, which I thought we discussed that they had some people that would be willing to put it together, and it was somewhat neutral. And some pomp and circumstance, I think, is certainly warranted. I think the drone show and maybe the Corning Expo is probably a little over the top, although the Corning is beautiful, but maybe better for Arts Fest.
agreed.
Any word from our representative? Commissioner Smith.
So I think just to talk to the Corning Expo, I think that was to coordinate with Arts Fest. A lot of this was to coincide with Arts Fest and sort of the work that they're already putting on. It really just comes down to, does the county want to create an event for its 100th anniversary, or do we just want to mark the day and put a plaque up and have a nice day and go? And I'm not saying, I mean, one is dramatically different than the other, right? But at the end of the day, if those are, and there's probably some in between that, but if it's really to mark the event, then that's a whole different discussion to have than what we've been having to create, whether it was like a 4th of July celebration that the city does, if we were going to do a 100th anniversary like that. The idea of a drone show was not to compete necessarily with the city of Stewart on their fireworks. It was to have something entirely different that would be memorable and would mark the event, and you could do it anywhere that you have the limitations on fireworks that you can't, other than the drones. You'd have to get FAA approval, given its proximity to the airport, and whether or not that's in conflict or not, I guess George would have to decide or get that figured out with the FAA. If this is not the direction you all want to go, that's why we're having, I guess, the conversation and give us direction where you want to go. But this is kind of as George said, the various inputs and various ideas have come together to do an event, if you will, of the 100th. And it started off as, do we do a year-long event, and every month is there something that goes on that marks the year, or do we narrow that down to really either a week-long event or a couple-day event? And so I think most of the people that we've talked to have said to sustain a year-long event would be incredibly difficult. To do more of a 4th of July type event where you have basically the focus of a day and an evening would be easier to do, although it's expensive to do it.
Thank you. There are a couple of things on this list that I think would be nice. Palm City celebrated its 100th anniversary a couple of years back, and to Commissioner Hurd's point, I think a plaque is nice, that's forever. The book is interesting, I think that's a nice keepsake that people would like to have, I'm sure. Is Sandy Thurlow
Yes.
involved?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the book is, instead of having staff do all of it, we've kind of reached out to the community, a lot of public input, so that committee is Ms. Turl with the Martin County Arts Council, Miss Sandy Thurlow, as well as Miss Julie Priest, and I'm sure we'll include the Mr. Steele as well when we get to there.
So
I just-
Thurlow and Turl.
And Priest.
Yes, no,
Oh,
He was doing a run.
I was doing the thing. Commissioner Smith, I only have 2 meetings left.
okay.
So on the book idea, that went around a little bit, and the idea, and just so the books that Sandy Thurlow has produced through the last couple decades, the book industry has changed dramatically. So the cost is really the layout, the design of getting a book designed. The printing cost, you can order 10, you can order 100. And versus in the old days when Sandy used to do her Sewell's Point book, you ordered 10,000 because that was a run. Versus now you order 100 or 20 or 50.
I think that's a good.
So, and the other idea was to take all of our districts, and even within those districts, to take our historically recognizable communities and highlight over the last 100 years what has made Salerno, what has made Golden Gate, what has made Jensen, and so on and so forth. And to get the community to submit, whether they be maps, whether they be photos of historical significance that have got us to where we are today, and that's what the book effectively would be. It would be marking 100 years of progress from 1925 to 2025.
I agree with you on the book. I think the book is a nice idea. I like the idea that each of the districts and all of the municipalities would participate. I think that whatever it costs, we could front that money for whatever it costs, but that book could be a valuable item that people would want to own. So I think I agree that it would end up being cost neutral because you could sell it basically for what it would cost. Commissioner Smith's right. You don't have to do 10,000 books up front and then we're sitting on, a truck full of books that we didn't want to sell. You can order them in shorter runs. The plaque, the books, the banners. I've done banners. Not every district has the ability to put banners up, do we?
Who doesn't? I didn't.
What do you have?
Banners.
Where?
There's banners.
Yeah, I know, I have banners. Everybody has banners. Yeah, but when I did the banners in Palm City, they were, $3,000-4,000.
Well, times 5.
20,000. I don't know how you get to 56,000.
I don't know either.
Whatever the banners are, I don't believe it's 56,000.
We'll come with a much more approximate cost for your.
Yeah, I'm just saying so that it doesn't look like people getting sticker shock. The rest of it, I'm torn because I agree that the 100th anniversary of the county is something that you might want to acknowledge. I, would see maybe, to Commissioner Smith's point, like a traditional, especially since we're celebrating the history of our county, a traditional kind of not on the 4th of July, but a 4th of July, like in your mind, you think of like that 4th of July community event, maybe a parade that culminates in Memorial Park like the Memorial Day Parade does, except then turn it into like a little more of a day kind of an event, much more grassroots than this. And I'll tell you, I don't know if it's appropriate or if you're legally allowed to, but I think we could probably come up with, each of us could come up with one or two sponsors that for the opportunity to sponsor and put their name out to celebrate the community, we could easily raise $100,000 in the private sector versus $300K from us.
I would
Lee
be
Jenk,
very cautious about that. I'd want to communicate with our attorney's office on that. Just the optics sometimes, and Commissioner, I agree that that's
no, I mean,
possible.
I prefaced it by saying if it's an issue, then it can't be, but I don't know.
I could look into it. We might also want to find a nonprofit partner.
That's-
And that would be the easiest way, in my opinion, to have
Fine.
one of our nonprofits.
That's why my light's on. I wanted to restate what I thought is the county government putting on an event, something we don't do. Not that we couldn't, but at the same time, we have a number of not-for-profit organizations that their first part of their name is historic, that I would think they would have a vested interest in planning, if they want to do an event, planning it and doing the whole thing, that could come to us with a proposal that potentially we could justify to the taxpayers, that is something that we are willing to assist and invest in. Right, but for the county to do it ourselves,
Okay, I understand.
that's just me.
Well, to defend, not that he needs defending, but for Commissioner Smith, we asked him to do this.
That's true, yeah.
So, I mean, we're changing our tune now, because I guess when we asked him to do it, there wasn't a price tag attached. But he did what we requested of him, and I agree. If it's the Historical Society or the Historic Preservation Board, who does an annual Historic Preservation Month and does a beautiful job of scavenger hunts and all sorts of clever things, Commissioner Smith should still be our representative, whoever that group is, and maybe that's the way we raise the funds. And I assume many people in our community would want to participate financially at that level. So what we could do is the courthouse plaque, and the districts could do the banners, and then the rest of the celebratory event could be through that arm, that not-for-profit arm, and then the money being raised, it's not taxpayer dollars, and we still get the event. Commissioner Smith, you were next.
And the only final thing I would share with you on events and the coordination of events, most of our organizations that do, like Arts Fest, it's a year-long program, and clearly we have that kind of time. But the dollars, this is like an event budget. This is a typical event in Martin County is probably $250,000, $300,000 to do a scaled event of this size, which is why in many cases they're so risky for the nonprofits, because if it rains or if there's something else going on, all that money's out, and recovering it is incredibly difficult. It's not dissimilar to the folks that were here this morning, which is a much larger budget, but the air show. We have seen 3 disastrous years happen for various reasons, not any in control of the air show, but you put those kind of large events at risk. And so my only hesitancy, we can certainly go to the nonprofits and ask them, but we would be asking any one of our nonprofits to take on another scaled event as large, if not larger, in both volunteer time and energy as any of the events that they themselves put on today. And I don't know that the art, and I'm using the Arts Council because Arts Fest is a very recognizable event, right? And it's the same location. For instance, I don't know that the Arts Council would take on this event, do the fundraising, do the man-hours required to do it, and Arts Fest at the same time. I just don't know that'll happen. So we'll ask.
It should be Arts Fest.
Huh?
I don't think it should be the Arts Council.
Well, no, I'm using them as an example.
Oh, okay.
Whether it was the Historical Society, whether it's the Arts Council, whether it's the VNA. I'm just saying, scaling up to put on another large event. But this is why we have this, to get some guidance. And we'll go back out and ask people what they want, and we'll come back. I would prefer, honestly, now that we have commentary from you all, instead of even trying to cast, like, let's just do a plaque and so on today, I would much rather go back to our our folks and say, this is where we are, this is the information we have, what do you all think? And is anybody, or collaboratively, do any multiple groups want to participate and step into putting on an event?
Mr. Donaldson?
My only comment was just related to the book. I know the Sebastian Inlet District and Jupiter Inlet District both had those books put together. They did a nice job. I was just suggesting that perhaps we could at least see what the investment is to get the layout done with Ms. Thurlow and then bring that back to you as a phased project. But I think any other comments, we'll just wait for further direction. But that was something I was just suggesting that we would
Book
include.
idea is probably the longest timeline. It's
Yep.
assembling the images, and what we've talked about is limited text, because you don't have to go into storytelling per se. The images will tell their own
Coffee table
story.
book.
But literally,
It's a pictorial history.
pictorial history, thank you.
I'm here for you.
I know, thank you, I appreciate that.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, we have and I don't know which society it is, the Historic Preservation Society, or maybe it's the other one, does a month-long historic focus on historic things in Martin County. How about next year we make that month 100th anniversary historic
I'm sure that
memory month, so that instead of just having these, so it's themed. every day will, whether you're at the Colored Schoolhouse or you're at the Stewart Main Street or wherever you are, that have it be themed toward the centennial.
I like that.
That would be a whole month long of celebrations.
must be an echo in here. That's what I said. That's a very good idea.
Thank you. I'm here for you.
I appreciate that. There must be an echo. Commissioner Smith?
And this will be an echo. So that idea absolutely has been shopped around. That whatever was created, sort of the footprint, if you will, or the outline of the 100th anniversary, would be something that any organization could tag on to and use in whatever event structure they have for the coming year. And as with everything, that takes work and effort on the nonprofit's behalf. And so we didn't limit. We didn't say you have to or you should, but the framework would be out there for them to do on their own if that's what the interest is. But we'll come back with a little bit more definition, probably, hopefully before the first of the year, so that whatever we do, we can work. And I would also say that I've talked to Heidi Rich, and Heidi did all of Sandy Thurlow's books on the architectural side of the layout and the component. She would work with Sandy again on sort of the design of the whole idea. So we have incredible experience on the book side, if that's the direction you all support and want to go. And I think the cost really is having somebody like Heidi do all that prep work, which is a tremendous amount of work. But with Sandy's guidance, I think it would be really cool.
Very good. Mr. Stokas?
Mr. Chair, just to wrap it up, the book cost is that is the book cost. It is $8,000 from Ms. Rich, based on the proposal she gave us to put together the book. I had I had approximately $5,000 for the seed money to purchase the first run of books.
How many books?
I don't recall.
Are you talking like 200? Or are you talking 3,000?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I think it was around a few hundred books. It wasn't a huge number like that.
Okay.
I think it was less than 1,000 books. So that is the book cost, and we've reached out to Ms. Rich, and that is the number that she's given us. As far as the centennial, we do have a timeline based on Commissioner Hurd's comments that would happen beginning next year. It would actually be in 2025, what would be the actual centennial. We don't turn 100 until May. We don't officially turn 100 until May 30th of 2025, but we wanted to get ahead because next year's 2024. We wanted to get ahead to allow the not-for-profits to do exactly what Commissioner Hurd said, which was prepare to actually make all of their events in 2025 centennial events, which goes to the logo conversion, which would be your official logo.
Way out.
It is a long way out, but Commissioner Smith is absolutely correct. I mean, I don't want to say we're behind the 8 ball, but these not-for-profits, they need a year, and it does take a long time to put a book together. So, but I did hear from the board, and it sounds like you want me to go back and further identify the cost for the plaques, further identify the cost for the banners, and as well as move further, come back with you by the 1st of next year or just thereafter on the finalized book cost with further details. I just want to make sure I'm working on what the 5 of you want me working on.
So to be clear then, that everything in the yellow box is not on the table?
I apologize, I forgot. My note is I am to go back and reach out to various not-for-profits and see if they would be interested in running an event similar to the one that we have here.
Well, they don't have to necessarily run that event.
Well, they can run an event, yeah.
Yeah, but it won't be us.
You want me to go to a not-for-profit?
Yes, that could perhaps solicit community contributions.
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I just want to be clear for the members of our public that will send emails saying, how are you going to spend $300,000 of taxpayer money? Commissioner Hurd's not wrong when she says there's not really an appetite for this, but this is exactly what we had asked originally for Commissioner Smith to do. Plus, you make the most salient point is this is 2025. It's not something that's happening next spring or next summer. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll end this item and we will pick up our next item, departmental number 4, Brightline request for proposal. It will be presented by Mr. George Stokes.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. George Stokes, Assistant County Administrator. For the record, I am before you today because on October 26th of 2023, Brightline Trains of Florida transmitted a request for proposals to County Administration and the City of Stuart regarding a potential station location in Martin County. I, as staff, am requesting direction on the following points. One, I would like to have the board provide me direction or permission to submit a potential station proposal to Brightline, as well as a BCC determination of potential station locations. Currently, we are anticipating to propose the courthouse parking lot located on Flagler Drive that is across the street from the City of Stuart baseball fields as well as our courthouse. And the second location would be the Martin County Fairgrounds. I am also seeking direction and permission to allocate up to $125,000 from general reserves for the purposes of creating conceptual drawings of proposed station locations, collecting and analyzing economic, demographic, commuter, and rail design data as it relates to the Brightline requirements that are set forth in the request for proposals, developing reports, graphics, and tables for a proposal to Brightline. I am looking to use the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to do that because they have assisted with all the municipalities to the south of us and those Brightline stations, as well as money to communicate Martin County's position with interested stakeholders and affected communities as we move forward for this process. The process being, if you give me permission today, we would go ahead and enlist these professional services. Brightline has communicated, and I have requested for an appointment for the county to meet with Brightline on November 29th, 2023, to answer questions as it relates to proposal. Staff's intent is to return back before this body at the first meeting in December to bring you back our 2 draft proposals for the Brightline station. And at that point, I'll have a lot more details as to what it's going to look like, what are the requirements, and so the commuter data, as well as any type of train passenger data at that time. I don't have that at this time, though. However, I did want to mention to the board that we are required through the Brightline settlement agreement to pay for up to 50%, pay 50% of the construction of a station, as well as Brightline is obligated for up to $1 million for the pedestrian crossover at some point in Martin County. So, and with that, I'm looking forward to any type of direction, motion, or action you'd like me to. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your efforts there. Questions for Mr. Stokes? Yes, as a matter of fact. We have one request to speak for him. Very familiar name, Ms. Joan Goodridge from the Business Development Board of Martin County. Ms. Goodridge, it's good to see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Joan Goodrich with the Business Development Board, your Economic Development team, here to support this item, requesting your investment in this potential long-term infrastructure item that could help strengthen our economy and build our community's vibrancy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich, before you depart, just one note. I know recently you've announced your 2023 Business Award winners, recipients. And I just thought it was interesting to note that you give out 8 categories,
That's correct.
and 4 of the 8 were businesses based in Palm City. Just goes to show you, just it's really the business excellence hub of Martin County. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Wherever the direction of the board on this item goes, I think my discussions with the city, and I'm sure you've all had them as well, is that we put forth the most unified front that we can in support of the city's application on their end on what they're doing, but that we work, our staffs and we work as collaboratively as possible, because our friends to the north clearly are trying to compete with us on all levels. And I think for the purposes of our community and ridership, it would be important for us to make sure that we do the very most we can with the city to set a unified front.
Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, I'm very interested in creating a compelling case for a station being located in Martin County. I think both are good locations. I think that in order to be compelling, most compelling, that we have to consider who's making the biggest contribution. And there's no question but that the city's local sponsorship for a federal grant to fund bridge is a substantial contribution, and no one is going to beat that. And I like the idea that there are already parking spaces in downtown Stewart, so that money doesn't have to be respent. So I think that we can make a really, really compelling case for locating the station here. And I also think that on the Treasure Coast, that Martin County residents would be most likely to ride the train. So I think that we have some real good foundations upon which to build our case. And so, full speed ahead, create a case.
Mr. Donaldson.
I'm glad Commissioner Smith brought up the city of Stewart. I think it's important to emphasize, and maybe we should include it in the recommendation, that we're planning the city of Stewart as a joint application collaborating with the city. So it'd be including in your action is to approve your administration to work collaboratively with the city staff on a joint application for the city's project. The fairground will be our own independent one, but that one, I think it's important that we recognize that it is a joint application. Thank you.
Thank you. I had said all along when the conversation about the rail the service in general was coming, that, and when we negotiated our settlement with Brightline, that a station, as it stands currently, we're getting all of the inconveniences of a train service through our community and all the ups and downs that would bring without the benefit. The station is the benefit. And I agree with what Commissioner Hurd said, that our demographic is the appropriate demographic, even logistically. For those of us that are interested in riding the train, and you'd have to drive all the way to Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, to get on the train to head to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, at that point, or the other stops, it makes sense to stay in the vehicle. If it was located considerably further north, and you were thinking about riding it to Orlando, and you had to drive 50 miles to get to the station, you'll drive the rest of the way to just go to your destination. So I think logistically we are right on the right spot, north to south. The demographic is there. We do already have the spots. I do understand that our friendly neighbors are going to be as competitive to get it as well, as an effort to build their economic revitalization of some of their downtown areas. We already have that. So we wouldn't be relying on a Brightline station to sort of revive an area. We are already thriving in our downtown Stewart, and the collaboration between the city and the county makes perfect sense. Commissioner Smith.
I move staff's request with the side note that that our collaboration and the application be joint with the city of Stewart to the extent 100% feasible by both parties.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public looking to address us on this? Seeing none, Mr. Stokas, thanks for your efforts. We look forward to you delivering us an award-winning, approved by Brightline proposal. And with that, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins.
No pressure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Let our friends at Brightline know they got a unanimous decision. Thank you. Our dear friends at the Brightline. And with that, I believe we have reached the end of our official agenda. I know there's some things that have to take place. I'll take 5:05 public comment. Anyone looking to address us on a general topic, speak now. Seeing none. Back to the board. We'll start with you, Commissioner Smith.
And Joan just left, and maybe she'd pop back in. I assume you all have been advised, as I was last week, that the BDB, Joan is retiring as executive director
I don't know if that was
from the BDB. And what I would ask staff to do is to come back to us at some date in the future, some point in the future, with an agenda item that talks about what options we have, what they have as options, and what does the future hold for us in terms of how the BDB and we move forward with the BDB.
Commissioner Jenkins.
As the BDB liaison, we are workshopping that very soon. We've had a couple of meetings to discuss exactly what you're saying. I ask you give us some time to do that, and then that, what you're asking for, I think is in process already.
Okay, my only thought is that it would be just as you're going through the process, that we be able to give some input so that at least whatever's going to move forward, whatever's going to happen doesn't happen, and then we get just the response as to what's going
I completely agree, and I will make sure that happens. Yep.
And just so that everybody understands what that looks like, hopefully that's an agenda item, Dawn, that has like backup to whatever you all have decided or looked at, and that way we can understand what is the next generation of the BDB.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I got.
Commissioner Heatherington.
All set.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Okay,
Or should we run through the rest of us first?
Sure.
Commissioner Hurd.
I'm set.
I just wanted to remind folks to run with me this Saturday morning at Jock Layton Park as the Palm City Chamber of Commerce 5K over the Veterans Memorial Bridge and back, hopefully and back. This Saturday, Veterans Day, and then also to remind folks that we are so fortunate in our community to have one of the premier air shows in the state of Florida, if not in the Southeast. Here in our town this weekend. Please take advantage of it and come by and see it. They'll also have the traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall, a replica of the one that they have in Washington, D.C. I've seen it. It is very moving, and it is definitely something worthwhile. If you haven't seen the original or the traveling one, come by and see it. Commissioner Jenkins.
So I need my LPA representative. I would like to make a change. And to do that, I need your support. Mr. Bob Thornton will be taking my seat at the dais with our LPA. I guess I didn't do that right because I'm getting the I.
You just need to also have board approval to remove the current member.
Okay.
Your current member.
I'd like board approval to remove my current member.
Are you making a motion?
I am.
Okay.
and to approve the appointment of Bob Thornton to that position.
Who's your current member?
Blake Capps.
We're making two
Second.
different motions, correct? Or can it be one?
One.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Donaldson?
Yeah, just two things real quick. One, we got the top 10 generous workplaces from United Way, and just to everybody in our staff, this is the time of year we look to renew our pledges. I know I'll be doing that. Carol Hortz Dietz is really a great leader in the world of United Way and has done a great job for us, and I hope those maybe encourage those who are not part of that annual contribution to think about it and look into it, because I think they do a great job for us.
Top 5, actually.
Top 5, yes. But the other thing is just for the public's edification, the check that we received from our tax collector it is an important, but just to remind everybody that we actually do budget for that. And we do budget the fact that we know our tax collector does a good job and brings in. So I want to thank Ruth for her continued efforts. But we do actually rely on that on our given budget. And if it came in under, I would be sweating. So in any event, but anyway, again, I thank her for that and her continued strength and her operation and being able to bring in revenue. But like I said, we do count.
And that's fees and all sorts of, other services that she offers in her department, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, she's gone beyond just doing what is statutorily required by a tax collector and providing services that, whether it's, registration fees for guns and
TSA pre-checks.
TSA pre-checks, right, and a whole host of other things, including doing a good enough job that people drive up from Palm Beach County and others to use the service because they can't get appointments down there. And so we do benefit from her efficiencies, and I think it's important. I'm just letting you know we've actually become to rely upon them, so that's all.
Yeah, she has a remarkable staff. Those of us that come from Old Lake, those of us that come from other areas where when you were going to do something at the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, you planned on doing it the whole day. I've been to several of the offices, but the individuals on the staff at Palm City, it's a delight to work, to go there. They're super friendly. It's a very just easy process to do so many different things. So I encourage our residents to visit the tax collector's office, especially if you're not a TSA pre-check. I can't imagine how you travel these days through the TSA without it. With that, our next commission meeting is Tuesday, November 21st, and we will see you all then.